In this video, I'm going to take you through 13 property investment deals done in December 2022. So they're very recent so that you can achieve two things: inspiration and education. Inspiration's great. It gives you a push forward, like acceleration on the car. But if you don't have education, the steering wheel, then you're pushing the car, you're driving it in the wrong direction. A steering wheel education by itself doesn't give you the propulsion, the inspiration to go forward and actually take action despite how much you know up here. So this video is intended to go through 13 deals, what we love about them, giving you inspiration and education, giving you a car, the fuel, but also the means and wherewithal to drive it so you can achieve passive income. If you're interested, carry on watching. My name's PK and I help people build passive income through the Property Investment Accelerator using data without needing a $15,000 buyer's agent every single time. And in this channel, we talk about property, financial happiness, and the economy. If you're interested, hit the like button, give it a subscribe. Let's go. So all of these deals, these 13 that I'm going to go through step by step, are on my Facebook group. There's more than 25,000 people, and the people who actually bought the deals are tagged. So they're verifiable deals now. And I've posted a deal every 2 days for years. So go and join the Facebook group if you haven't already, and you can get a sense of how amazing that community is, with just absolutely no BS. Let's get into the first deal. So 7.2% high yield cash flow, newly renovated, under $300,000 Queensland beauty. I make these titles up, by the way. So the first point is you can still buy property under 300K, especially in Queensland, regional that is. And 7.2% yield means that it's positive cash flow, even despite all these rate rises that we've had. Newly renovated means that, you want to buy a property that doesn't have massive renovation bill in the first 2, 3, or any year. And if it's newly renovated, it helps achieve that more. Okay, so Stephen Tang, amazing guy. This is actually a second property. I've tagged him, so all of these are verifiable. You can go DM him and ask directly about this deal yourself so you can see if I've made anything up or not. But we've done a video with him on this channel. Go check that as well. Just type in Stephen Tam, PK Gupta, and it'll come up in YouTube. High growth zone at the bottom of a 10-year growth cycle. Now, this is really interesting because just because it hasn't grown in the last 10 years, that doesn't mean it won't grow in the next 10 years. In fact, the rule of statistical regression to the mean means that we want to buy in a suburb that hasn't grown in the last 10 years as much as it could grow, because that gives us statistically more possibility of it growing in the future. Of course, there's more to it than that, but it's new bathroom and kitchen. 50 people inspected this for rent. So there's that huge rental crisis in this Queensland suburb. He had no confidence, and now he's fully confident. In fact, he's bought twice without a buyer's agent. Total fees saved $30,000 through, of course, the Property Investment Accelerator, doing it himself. Purchase price 290. I'll go through all of these individually, these line items, and then for the subsequent deals, I'll just kind of skip through. Total funds required less than $50,000. So if you don't have $50,000, you have 40,000, 45, you can still get into a really high performing property. Rent per week is 400. Really good short-term and long-term data factors. We don't just want yield to be high. We want that thing to grow in the short and long term. That's entirely predictable on a relative basis against other suburbs using data. Vacancy is almost negligible. We want a huge block size, which this has. And he's bought this interstate, all right? He's bought it in Queensland. He lives in Sydney with his family, and he hasn't caught a single flight. How is that? That's through the use of property managers. I've done other videos on that. Go check them out on how you don't need a buyer's agent. A property manager does the inspections, the due diligence on the ground for you for free, completely trustworthy and reliable. He built that team around it, and he's just rinsing and repeating. He's building passive income. And look, I just want to say there's just so much information online, but I keep saying, whether it's with me or someone else, data. It doesn't lie. And a bit of data and a smidgen of mentoring, you can get amazing results, okay? So here's the property. You can see here, amazing Queensland style property. This is the backyard. Oftentimes people say, look, the clients that you have, PK, they often buy small properties on big parcels of land. Why is that? Well, land appreciates, buildings depreciate. This has really good yield, and the growth is going to be there for many other reasons, but also because the land is so huge. The next one, R20 zone subdivision profits on a beautifully renovated Perth cracker. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, so first of all, you can build 2 houses on this property, okay? And that is because it's R20 zoned, so this zoning allows that, and it's got a big enough block, more than 1,000 square meter block. But would you do that immediately? Probably not. Like, you could make huge money in subdividing this property, but it's completely renovated. High ceilings. You wouldn't want to go off and destroy that amazing renovation anytime soon, but it's a card up your pocket you can utilize in the future. Now, Prasad, he's bought 3 properties in the last 12 months, and that means he's saved $45,000 in buyer's agent fees because he's done it himself with the power of mentorship. Purchase price is $449. Total funds required, this one's a little bit more, $90,000. Rent is $470. It's still very high cash flow, great data, fantastic vacancy rate. Like we said, the block size is very enviable. He's bought this in Perth. He once again lives in Sydney as well. All right. So the thing that I want to emphasize is, like, don't just give away the keys to your financial future to someone else. Learn. Okay. You can learn how to do this. You don't have to become dependent on some random property company off Facebook or YouTube for every single property. You can actually do it yourself and save that $15,000 on every single buyer's agent, because they're just sending you properties of real estate and domain anyway. You can do that yourself and get off market. And I'll take you through a couple of off market deals that we bought as well, or rather clients have bought by themselves for themselves. So you don't need to be fooled into buying some cheap course that a buyer's agent sells you only to realize it doesn't work, and then you have to buy their full service anyway. Okay, a cheap course means a cheap outcome, and no one cares about your money as much as you do. Here's the property. This is a really nice one. Love the grass. I wish my grass on my front house looked like this. Amazing property. Nice wood fire, pizza oven at the back as well. Next property, Boxing Day specials is just not needed when you get results like this. I posted this on Christmas Day, interestingly enough. 7.2% yield. Once again, even with high interest rates right now, the official cash rate is above 3%. This is still positive cash flow. Completely renovated with very low maintenance, like I said before. And, you know, after the building pest inspection is done, you can get a free chemical termite barrier installed. Why is it free? Because you've negotiated that. Okay, these things can cost $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, but if you know how to negotiate, like you do if you do the property investment accelerator, then you can negotiate all these freebies into your deal even after going into the contract phase. All right, so Blaston, amazing guy, love his name as well. He's bought this. It's his first investment property, saved $15,000, and purchase price is $316,500. He needed about $50,000 to get in. Now that includes stamp duty, legal fees, and all of that sort of stuff. Rent is $435. So I mean, you know, why not buy this property? It's paying for itself and going up in value because the data is so strong, vacancy is so low. They would never have a problem with getting tenants anytime soon. Block size is more than adequate. Once again, Queensland, from Sydney, all by himself. The science of property investing is actually learnable. It's not like some secret sauce that you need to be a generational investor to understand, or that you need to be in the game for years and years. No, it's not like that. You can learn it very quickly. It's like gardening. Okay, if you have a bit of a passion, you can pick it up very quickly. Here's the property. This is the backyard. Amazing. I mean, what tenant wouldn't like their kids running around on that beautiful back lawn? Very private and secure. And that's the front. Next property. It's a beautiful $35,000 under market value property. Okay, people often say, well, that's a lie. That's why I put this in. It's the truth at almost 6% yield. Okay, so how do we get an under market property? All right, it's because one of the D's, maybe there's a divorce, maybe there's a distressed sell, maybe there's a deadline that the vendors needed to make. For example, they already bought the house to live in. Now they just really need to get rid of this house because otherwise they won't be able to get the funds to settle the house they bought. There's a million different reasons why there's a motivated seller, and that's how you get a cheap deal. And by cheap, I mean a great deal, a sharp deal, $35,000 under market value. Higher interest rates are not a problem when you've got this sort of cash flow, right? In fact, this one, the seller actually received a $35,000 higher price and again offer, but he went with Nafiz anyway. And Nafiz has now bought 3 properties. Amazing guy. I've done a video with him right here on YouTube, so check that out as well. You can Google or YouTube his name and you'll see that video on how he's actually achieving this. And because he's done that, 3 properties in 6 months, he saved $45,000 in buyer's agent fees. I mean, that's pretty phenomenal, right? This is for $550,000, a little bit on the higher side. Okay, $585,000 was the highest offer, but they took his anyway for the reasons mentioned above. He came across as professional, was easy to deal with. The agent just thought it was a no-brainer. Total funds required $125,000. Rent is $610. Vacancy 0.72. Good block size. There's nothing wrong with this. Bought in WA from, he lives in Victoria. So here's the property. I mean, how amazing is that? That looks like a beautiful property. Now, for the rest of the deals, I'm going to go through them much quicker because you get the sense of what this is about. And I want to educate you and inspire you. Okay, 6.8% yield, high cash flow steal. This is absolutely a steal with massive subdivision profit upside. My son just came in. Pays for itself. Okay, that's what we like. What's what we like about positive cash flow properties. You can buy so many of them because there's no burden or impost on you. They're taking care of themselves. You can actually develop 2 dwellings on this 1,000 square plus meters block, and you can sell one of them or both of them for a huge profit. And actually there's precedent next door, and that's what we love. If there's precedent set by the council for this type of subdivision, then you know it's actually going to go through, and it's going to go through in a commercially viable basis because if someone else has done it right next to you. It's under 400k, so he's got this amazing high cash flow subdividable property for under 400,000. That's not that common. Dwayne has done a terrific job. I've done a YouTube video with him as well. Go check it out. It's in the client results playlist if you want to see it. Set $379,000 purchase price, needed 65 to get in, rent 495, vacancy 0.59, bought from New South Wales, lives in Port Macquarie in Queensland, interstate without needing a buyer's agent. Here's the property, and this is what I mean. You can subdivide this into a battle axe block, keep the front one, sell the last one, you've got a free house. 2 properties in 2022. The latest one, $55,000, in other words, 15% under market value. High cash flow, okay, 7.8% yield, once again, positive cash flow. If he does a $30,000 renovation, which he is, it lifts the value of the property and rents, okay? It lifts both those things. And once he's done that, all right, once he's done that, the rent per week is going to be $480. Now, this is on a $320,000 property. Like, that's phenomenal. Almost 8% yield. That's commercial property yield without the risk. Okay, amazing stuff. And if I scroll down, this is the property. Okay, we don't love to have a pool all the time because it is a bit of additional maintenance cost. But if you can get these numbers, then to hell with it. Just go for a pool anyway. 5 bedrooms for the prices of 4, plus 6.8% yield cash flow. Amazing work by Amir. You can go check it out. I've also done a YouTube video with him. And like, these are all like just in December, right? It's not like I've picked and chosen them from throughout 2022. This is the power of data. 1995 build, so you got great tax depreciation benefits, lower your tax while making a higher income and getting the growth. He's bought it under market value. I mean, once again, $366,000, $70,000 needed to get in, rent $480, vacancy 0.49, block size 608, brick, bought in Perth from Melbourne. I mean, how good is this, right? Just solid. That's an amazing property. This is the one I want to talk about. $270,000, in other words, 364% return on his investment, and his investment being a deposit across 2 properties of $74,000. Okay, that is across 2 properties in just 18 months. Now he's just bought the 3rd house at 7.7% yield, and it's an absolute cash cow. Okay, so his portfolio is positive cash flow even with higher rates. Extremely hot rental market, and then he secured a 2-year rental lease. Like, that's unheard of. Matt Broadhurst, take a bow. I've done a YouTube video with him right here as well. You can go check that out into client results. Otherwise, just DM him. He's a stand-up guy. He lives in Tassie, and he's bought all over Australia now. 3 properties in 3 different states. This latest one is under $300,000, $297 in fact. Total funds needed less than 40, it's less than 50. He's used equity, and he's negotiated for something that would have cost $1,500 to fix. He's negotiated $7,500 post the building and pest inspection. Now, might not seem a lot to you, but I mean, it's these things that you can learn and save money. This is how the course pays for itself, 1,000-fold. All these small things add up. $440 a week in rent, huge block size, vacancy is amazing. Here's the property. I mean, he's sitting on this portfolio that's going to fund his retirement in the not too distant future. And he's got, more than 300% return on investment in 18 months. Like, that's the power of property, cash on cash, 17.5% capital growth in 2.5 months. Okay, is that possible? Yeah, it is. Granny flat potential as well to add another $250 of rent per week. I mean, you've got the growth, you've got the yield, you've got everything, massive instant growth in 2022. You have side access. That's really important for properties to have side access if you want to be able to build a granny flat and have that sort of dual living, double rent coming from the same title to boost your cash flow. There's actually other people who offered more, okay, after Jackie got this under contract, but it's already under contract. The vendor couldn't back out of it. She's bought twice now without a buyer's agent, saving $30,000. This one was a purchase price of $400,000. The valuation after just 4 months was $470,000. Now, this is in a period in which interest rates are rising. You can see how there's always markets within markets. Total funds required less than $75,000. So it's basically 100% return on investment on her cash in 4 months. Okay, 75 in, $70,000 growth in 4 months, basically 100% cash on cash. Rent $450. Everything else is just amazing. She lives in Brisbane. She's bought in South Australia, didn't catch a single flight. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? Let's congratulate her. This is the property. Okay, this is the property. Sometimes when you're scrolling real estate, you're like, oh, I'm not sure what makes a good property. Now, looking at a picture like this doesn't make it a good property, or scrolling through the images on real estate doesn't make it a good property. It's the numbers. And it's the numbers which I'm stressing again and again and again. This is her second one. I've not made this up. This is Jackie right here. Amazing lady. Very entrepreneurial. Beautiful 7.3% yield on this one. Another positive cash flow property, even with higher interest rates. Massive instant growth again for Jackie on her second property. 25 rental groups at inspection. So he's rented before settlement. Okay, so that means zero vacancy, and there's different clauses that you put into the contract to ensure that actually happens, and I teach that, but that's what she's done and got it rented before settlement. She bought this before the first open home. That's what you need to do in a hot market, and she's learnt those negotiation, valuation, and how to buy and how to find these properties through the strategies that we teach. Dual living and side access for trailer and boat. Once again, I explained that, how that can increase your cash flow just before. This one is $375,000, needed $70,000 again. Rent per week, $530. I mean, take a bow. That's where you get that positive cash flow, 7.3%. Vacancy rate, 0.46, 778 block size, regional Queensland from Brisbane. That's where it's at, guys, regional Queensland. There's just a few different locations around regional Queensland that aren't mining towns, that aren't one-trick ponies, that have huge future, huge infrastructure projects, but more so, amazing data. All right, and check it out. This is the property. So it's a high set, big backyard, great entertaining area. Wouldn't mind living there myself. 6.2% yield off market, Queensland property with bonus tax benefits. All right, so it's high yield. Once again, it's a self-sustaining, self-sufficient asset. It wasn't listed on Real Estate and Domain. So if all you're doing when you're trying to buy property is look on Real Estate and Domain, you're actually like holding yourself back from some of the best opportunities. And you can find these better opportunities by establishing a relationship with some top agents in the suburb. I've done a video on that right here on YouTube. Go check it out. You can use the search terms off-market discounts, PK Gupta, and I'm sure it will come up. Anyone can do that. Those are the basics on that video. And of course, in the course, I teach in a much more detailed, pragmatic, and with the tools and resources required. Year 2000 build, so big depreciation benefits to reduce the income tax on this. Marco Afzali has bought twice now without a buyer's agent, saving himself $30,000. This first one was $401,000, took $75,000 of his money, getting $480 a week in rent amazing data, great vacancy rate, big block size, bought in Queensland from Melbourne. You start to see this pattern, right? You know, South Australia, Perth, and Queensland, these are the main areas that we're buying in, and people are buying interstate without needing a buyer's agent and getting high cash flow, subdividable potential, and growth. This is the property, really nice palm trees out the front. And once again, a common theme is you want big land. Big land, not that something looks like a bit scrungy or needs doing up, but something just flat, easy for the family to rent. 7% yield off market Queensland property, 2 properties in 2 months. This is again Marco Afzali's, and have done a YouTube video with him as well, guys. So go check that out. You can use his name in the YouTube search term as well as mine, and you'll find it. Okay, high yield, it pays for itself. Once again, he's only buying off market. That Marco is. He's very diligent and prescriptive about the types of properties he wants to buy. Quiet area, close to schools, and bought it for 374, 860. Funds required 70, rent 500, low vacancy rate. You know, great data, and block sizes more than enough. You know, land to asset ratio is above 60%. So he's bought this in Queensland, again from Melbourne, and this is the property. All right, so when you see this on realestate.com, you won't know if it's good or not because you may not be educated. But if you can lift the hood, immediately you can see if the car is roadworthy or not. You just need to know how to see whether the engine is in good order or not. The engine in this analogy are the numbers, the statistics, the data. And if they're good, you put that hood back down, and regardless of what the house looks like, it's gonna make you money. Okay, you can always paint the car, you can get a car detailer in. Don't make a decision of whether to buy a property or not by what the car looks like. You got to lift the bonnet, you got to understand the data. And the last property, 6.9% yield, 6% under market value. So it's almost like getting a 4 years of capital growth instantly, with an additional $40,000 of equity upside potential. I'll explain that in a second. This is by Utsi. Amazing deal. You can DM him. Amazing client and result. High yield, property pays for itself, can easily convert surplus room into a 4th bedroom for a value rise. Okay, so right now it's not advertised as a 4th bedroom. You can convert it into a 4th bedroom, and therefore it will be priced as if it was a 4-bedroom, and that's where the equity upside comes from. He bought it for $22,000 or 6% under CBA bank valuation. So it's not like, oh, I think it's cheap. It's actually what the bankers said is cheap, and they have valued it in that way. It's very rare that that actually occurs. Walking distances, shopping center, parks, transport, and river. So there's a bonus. $330,000 purchase price. Like I said, the CBA bank valuation was $352, required $50,000 to get in. So instant equity means he's got like basically 50% return on investment, because he put in 50 grand, he's got 22,000 under market value, so almost 50% return on investment just instantly, like overnight, just because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to lift the hood. Rent means that it's paying it for itself. 440 on a 330 property is amazing. Vacancy rate is well under 2%, which we want it to be. Good block size, bought in Queensland from Melbourne with absolute confidence without needing a buyer's agent, because he has the right team, he has the right knowledge, he has the right mentorship. More importantly, he has the right confidence. Okay, this is the property right here. So education and inspiration. Remember, if you're educated, but you're just stuck, you're so scared, you don't know what to do, you can't take the next step, then all the education in the world is useless. You know how to drive, but you're too scared to push the acceleration button. Inspiration means you can push the acceleration button, but you don't know whether to turn left or right or go straight out of, you don't know anything about how to drive that car. You need both education and inspiration. In my videos, I really endeavor across more than 50 or 500 videos now actually on YouTube to educate you, but through ones like this to inspire you. It's not you versus me. It's not me versus you. It's not about comparing ourselves with others. It's about comparing ourselves with who we used to be, but using the example of others to say, all right, let me take off my visor. Let me see what's possible. This is what other people are achieving. They're normal people. There's YouTube videos with them. They're not paid actors. I can DM them. I can actually see that they've achieved great results. I can do that myself as well. And then with a dollop of education, I can push that acceleration button. I can turn left, I can turn right, and I can achieve financial happiness. So if that brought you value, guys, hit the subscribe button. Always remember the most important real estate is the 6 inches between your 2 ears. So before you go off and buy property or even buy my course or anything like that, pay a buyer's agent, make sure you get educated, because no one is going to invest in you like you can invest in yourself. To level up, I'll leave links below to my podcast on Google, Apple, and Spotify, and also to the Facebook group, which all these deals are from. And that has more than 25,000 amazing community members. I'll leave links below in the comments, and I'll see you in there. My name's PK, and once again, guys, I'm so grateful for you being with me, this amazing community. See you next time.